Because from a kingdom perspective, from a Calvary perspective, it's not how much you give that matters. What moves the kingdom forward is what it costs you to give it. What it costs you to give it. It's completely contrary to the way we ordinarily think about things in the world's way of thinking. And what concerns me here, folks, and this is the main thing I'm really addressing, is that it seems to me that the church, certainly the church in America, has largely bought into this equation of worth equals productivity. Hook, line, and sinker. Our way of thinking about things is not distinctively kingdom at all. You find tons and tons of books and seminars given for church leaders, pastors, and others, showing them how to do things, how to produce, how to be impressive in different ways, how to build a really big church, because that's what we're really all after, how to increase your offerings and get a really good offering, and how to market yourself, and how to target audiences, and how to run great programs, how to. And it's basically the same kind of thing you'd read if you read a book written for CEOs of major corporations on how to build a big corporation and how to make a lot of money. It's just that we Christianize it and call it kingdom. But there's nothing distinctly kingdom about it. Now, it's fine to gain wisdom from that. There's some good things to say. There's some common sense principles. That's fine. But we've always got to remember this radical and beautiful kingdom Calvary principle. And that is that what builds the kingdom is not our impressive programs, or our ability to raise money, or our ability to build big churches. What advances the kingdom, and it's the only thing that advances the kingdom, is when people learn how to live like Jesus and serve like Jesus and love like Jesus and bleed like Jesus. It's about sacrifice. It's the Calvary principle. And so however big or small a church is, or however impressive their programs are or aren't, the bottom line is always this: are people learning how to live their life like Jesus and give not out of their surplus, but give out of their survival fund? It's my impression that the church is just about as star-struck as the world is. We've got our own celebrities and superstars that we admire. These are the ones who can meet all the criteria that we hold up as important. So the ones who can build the giant churches are the superstars, and the ones who can raise all the money and run the great programs and run a great staff. Or sometimes it's those who have that incredible musical gift and can sing so well. Or the evangelists that can pack out a stadium. And we look to them and say, wow, how blessed they are, and how special they are, and how wonderful for the kingdom they are. And God uses that. That's fine. But we've always got to remember the Calvary principle, that it's not what you produce, how big it is, how impressive it is, what kind of a splash it makes, whether you get your picture on the front of Time magazine or Christianity Today. That's not at all what matters. In fact, that's really quite irrelevant. The only thing that matters is not what you gave, but how much did it cost you to give it. Paul goes so far as to say in 1 Corinthians 13, verses 1 through 3, that you can have all the greatest, most impressive, most opulent religious stuff in the world, have prophecy and faith that can move mountains, and speaking in tongues and word of knowledge and all the rest, and that's fine and wonderful. But Paul says, if that is not motivated by self-sacrificial love, and if it doesn't produce self-sacrificial love, it is, from a kingdom perspective, altogether worthless. It may be very impressive by the world's standards, and maybe even in Christendom you'll get a lot of accolades and become famous and get your picture on the cover of religious magazines, but it is, from the perspective of the kingdom, worthless, because what matters is not what you produce and who notices it and how famous you get for it. What matters is what it costs you to give it. It's my impression that the church in the West on the whole is as impressed with moneymakers as the world is. Those people who have that ability. It's a great gift to make money. I like that ability, but some people have it, I'm told. And so it's some of these books and some of these seminars written for pastors, they'll be very out loud in saying this. If you really want to build it, then you've got to find out who's got the deep pockets, and you court those people. You befriend those people. You schmooze those people. You invest a lot of your time. Not in the commoners. No, in those people who have got the money, because they're the ones who influence things. You need that money to run your operation. And yeah, I'm not naive. It takes money to run things, yes. But see, we've got to remember the Calvary principle. And that is this. All the money in the world is great, but if it's not given sacrificially, if it's giving out of surplus rather than out of survival fund, if it doesn't manifest Calvary-like love, it doesn't build the kingdom. Might produce great buildings and a great show and a lot of things, but it doesn't advance the kingdom. The widow's penny advances the kingdom because that's given out of self-sacrificial love. And see, with that mindset, you wouldn't be specially courting certain people. What you'd be doing is teaching everybody to give sacrificially, but the amount they give is utterly, utterly irrelevant. That's why I have a policy. I don't want to know who gives what, and I don't know. I know what I give, but that's it. And that's none of your business. Oh, I share it once in a while. So it's the Calvary principle. The other thing is this. If we adhere to the Calvary principle, that what produces the kingdom is self-sacrificial love and nothing but self-sacrificial love, we will see immediately that there is no place, nada, in the kingdom for celebrities, for stars. Those people that we think are just specially blessed and, God uses them more than the rest of us, and they're closer to God than the rest of us, and their prayers count more than the rest of us, and so on and so on and so on. We ordinary people, we're just little ants carrying along, but those are the superstars. If we really believe this, it collapses all of that. There's no place in the kingdom for putting anybody up on a pedestal. It's okay to appreciate gifts. That's great. I appreciate your gift. I appreciate the fact that you use it. I appreciate the fact that it impacts me. That's fine. But we should be doing that with all the gifts. And if we adhere to the Calvary principle, then what it means is this. You are as significant as anybody else in the kingdom insofar as you're giving sacrificially. It may be that person over there can give billions of dollars and you can only give a penny. But if your penny is sacrificial and theirs is not, who's advancing the kingdom more? According to the kingdom principle, it is you. And so there's no place for holding up superstars, unless we have some way of sort of getting in on who is actually giving most sacrificially. But who's interested in running a contest anyways? I'm convinced that when we get to heaven, we will see the people who are the superstars will be people probably that we don't know about. The widow here, we don't even know her name. She's a superstar in the kingdom. There'll probably be some monk in the 11th century who spent his whole time just praying and serving the poor. No one ever heard about him, never wrote a book, never got famous. But man, when the kingdom has come in its fullness, we will see that those are the superstars. Why? Because they lived like and served like and loved like Jesus Christ. And the kingdom of God is all about looking like Jesus Christ.